Security has emerged in recent years as the #1 priority for IT leaders around the world. What was traditionally seen as a simple component of an organization's infrastructure, throwing a firewall and antivirus solution down to ensure that compliance box is ticked, has evolved into something that keeps CSOs, CIOs, and even CEOs awake at night. It has also triggered the creation of a huge industry, cybersecurity, as hordes of vendors compete to be seen as possessing the most competent solutions in the fight against hackers and cybercriminals. But no matter how much these companies profess to offer the latest next-generation security products, the rate of cyber casualties shows no sign of slowing. If anything, the opposite is true. There is a constant arms race where the attackers look to circumvent the security solutions that companies put in place, and the vendors of those solutions look to improve the security of their solutions. The worrying reality is that the high-profile victims of cyber attacks are indeed adopting the very solutions the industry seems to scaremonger them into buying. So, are the vendors losing this battle? It's becoming more apparent and widely accepted that point or standalone security solutions, next generation or otherwise, simply aren't enough to protect against the sophisticated multi-vector attacks faced. The problem in many cases is not the technology itself, but how that technology is applied, installed, and managed. In many cases, the breaches were due to poor management of the security technology, such as missing software and security patches, misconfigured security software, weak passwords, or security systems not being monitored to detect attacks. True cybersecurity visibility is not just focusing on inbound traffic, but outbound and lateral movement. Lateral movement refers to the techniques that a cyber attacker uses, after gaining initial access, to move deeper into a network in search of sensitive data and other high-value assets. After entering the network, the attacker maintains ongoing access by moving through the compromised environment and obtaining increased privileges using various tools. Lateral movement is a key tactic that distinguishes today's advanced persistent threats, APTs, from simplistic cyber attacks of the past. Lateral movement allows a threat actor to avoid detection and retain access, even if discovered on the machine that was first infected. And with a protracted dwell time, data theft might not occur until weeks or even months after the original breach. After gaining initial access to an endpoint, such as through a phishing attack or malware infection, the attacker impersonates a legitimate user and moves through multiple systems in the network until the end goal is reached. Attaining that objective involves gathering information about multiple systems and accounts, obtaining credentials, escalating privileges, and ultimately gaining access to the identified payload. There are 3 main stages of lateral movement: reconnaissance, credentials/privilege gathering, and gaining access to other computers in the network. During reconnaissance, the attacker observes, explores, and maps the network, its users, and devices. This map allows the intruder to understand host naming conventions and network hierarchies, identify operating systems, locate potential payloads, and acquire intelligence to make informed moves. Here are some of the built-in tools that can be used during reconnaissance. Netstat shows the machine's current network connections. This can be used for identifying critical assets or for gaining knowledge about the network. IP protocol configuration, ifconfig, provides access to the network configuration and location information. ARP cache gives information about the IP address to physical address. This information can be used to target individual machines inside the network. The local routing table displays current communication paths for the connected host. PowerShell, a powerful command line and scripting tool, allows quick identification of network systems to which the current user has local admin access. The above tools are just a few functions that attacker can use in the reconnaissance phase. To move through a network, an attacker needs valid login credentials. One way to obtain these credentials is to trick users into sharing them by using social engineering tactics such as typo squatting and phishing attacks. Here are some of the techniques used. 1. Pass the hash is a method of authenticating without having access to the user's password. This technique bypasses standard authentication steps by capturing valid password hashes that, when authenticated, allow the attacker to perform actions on local or remote systems. 2. Pass the ticket is a way of authenticating using Kerberos tickets. An intruder that has compromised a domain controller can generate a Kerberos golden ticket offline that remains valid indefinitely and then can be used to impersonate any account, even after a password reset. 3. Tools like Mimikatz are used to steal cached plaintext passwords or authentication certificates from the memory of a compromised machine. They can then be used to authenticate to other machines. 4. Keylogging tools allow the attacker to capture passwords directly when an unsuspecting user enters them via their keyboard. The last phase is to gain access by performing internal reconnaissance and then bypassing security controls. To compromise successive hosts can be repeated until the target data has been found and exfiltrated. The above actions can be seen if the company is monitoring their internal network for this type of lateral movement. Please let us introduce you to the missing piece of the puzzle to complete the true network visibility service. Deception technology is a category of cybersecurity defense. Deception technology products can detect, analyze, and defend against zero-day and advanced attacks, often in real time. They are automated, accurate, and provide insight into malicious activity within internal networks which may be unseen by other types of cyber defense. Deception technology enables a more proactive security posture by seeking to deceive the attackers, detect them and then defeat them, allowing the enterprise to return to normal operations. Existing defense-in-depth cyber technologies have struggled against the increasing wave of sophisticated and persistent human attackers. These technologies seek primarily to defend a perimeter, but both firewalls and endpoint security cannot defend a perimeter with 100% certainty. Cyber attackers can penetrate these networks and move unimpeded for months, stealing data and intellectual property. Heuristics may find an attacker within the network, but often generate so many alerts that critical alerts are missed. Since 2014, attacks have accelerated and there is evidence that cyber attackers are penetrating traditional defenses at a rapidly increasing rate. Deception technology considers the human attacker's point of view and method for exploiting and navigating networks to identify and exfiltrate data. It integrates with existing technologies to provide new visibility into the internal networks, share high-probability alerts and threat intelligence with the existing infrastructure. Upon penetrating the network, attackers seek to establish a backdoor and then use this to identify and exfiltrate data and intellectual property. They begin moving laterally through the internal VLANs and almost immediately will look at one of the interactive decoys and breadcrumbs. Interacting with one of these decoys will trigger an alert. These alerts are very high probability and almost always coincide to an ongoing attack. The deception is designed to lure the attacker in. The attacker may consider this a worthy asset and continue by injecting malware. Deception technology allows for automated static and dynamic analysis of this injected malware and provides these reports through automation to the security operations personnel. Defending enterprise networks requires tooling that enables security teams to operate faster and more efficiently. Having a single point of view into the networks is key to having true 360-degree visibility. Yet despite the benefits, many organizations still handicap their security teams with limited, subpar visibility and investigative ability. Fidelis Elevate enhances insight into network traffic, threats, and deception. Analysts waste far too much time clicking through multiple screens and dashboards to perform their own correlations. Fidelis tools remove these steps and automate processes so they can refocus their efforts on keeping their organization secure. Being able to exercise the concept of holistic visibility, meaning the environment is ingested, analyzed, and treated as a single unit. Holistic visibility allows for threats to be analyzed and neutralized faster, and lets organizations make confident decisions that truly affect enterprise security. Not only does the Fidelis platform allow for holistic visibility, but it also allows for your team to mature. Fidelis Deception and Elevate make it easy for organizations to move toward threat hunting, shortening their time to detect and uncover intrusions. Contact Wise Distribution on 01344 550 465 or email sales@wisedistribution.co.uk for more information.